No sooner had the words of Hezbollah's Secretary General concluded, than we saw Israeli commentaries suggesting that the atmosphere of war had returned. Not only because the people of the South hold this supreme image, at the very least of what is called and labeled as the supreme martyr Hassan Nasrallah, alongside the Secretary General Hashem Safiuddin. This means we are witnessing encouragement from two Hezbollah Secretaries General in the Battle of the Al-Aqsa Flood, which constitutes an exceptional participation by all standards. Here we revisit Mariv via Avia Ashkenazi, who claims that what happened is due to an Arab official placing his hand in Hassan Nasrallah's hand, and this is what prompted the Israelis to become aware of their exposure. Hezbollah has emphasized this narrative of intelligence exposure, and now there is a storytelling narrative that creates something imaginary for Israel and its strength. It attempts to shift focus to another investigative field outside the intelligence exposure. For the Israeli media narrative, part of the myth revolves around Israel's ability to reach Hassan Nasrallah. The second issue is the attempt to manipulate imagination and reaffirm Israel's strength in light of what happened in Gaza and elsewhere, despite the failure of Western technology and all its components against the tunnels. How did the Israelis reach Hezbollah's tunnels but fail to penetrate Gaza's depths? The answer lies in the fact that we are talking about the Chief of Staff Mohammed al-Daif, whom we previously confirmed had also been martyred. Today it is clear that the issue revolves around 5 key points. 1. Significant intelligence exposure of Hezbollah, which led not only to targeting Hassan Nasrallah or Hashem Safiuddin, but also other field commanders. Anyone who entered the southern suburbs or open areas in southern Lebanon became exposed, whether through the suburbs' tunnels or above-ground movements. 2. Critical considerations in intercepting Hezbollah's radio communications, pagers, etc., marking a major shift in tactics. 3. The weight of the intelligence exposure, as emphasized by Hezbollah itself. 4. Current assessments regarding artificial intelligence. It is crucial to stress, as the Iranians have evaluated, that nothing in direct conflict with Israel can proceed without AI. Weapons without AI and full target guidance are marginal in battle. Thus, the resistance must either adopt AI or strive to do so, as this is the central task. 5. Today's assessments reveal that Hezbollah's path to Jerusalem is being paved, potentially extending beyond the south. The current situation is highly sensitive, given fears that Hassan Nasrallah's symbolic role could escalate matters. The current circumstances may not only lead to the liberation of southern Lebanon, but go further to change the face of the Middle East this time. The October 7th issue remains alive for a simple reason. The rules of engagement in northern Israel and southern Lebanon have shifted beyond traditional power balances. At any suitable moment, Hassan Nasrallah's influence could ignite tensions in northern Israel. Trump explicitly told Netanyahu that 2 main issues are critical now. If the transition phase is not closed, it will have repercussions. Releasing Hamas prisoners is nothing more than bypassing the cycle of revenge between the two sides. If retaliation persists, it will place Yahya Sinwar, Hassan Nasrallah and Hashem Safiuddin in a position where these symbols may recur. Either we move to a new phase or face another potentially harsher retaliation. The only way to avoid a repeat of October 7th, this time more violently, is through peace. This peace must involve Saudi Arabia and, crucially, all of Israel's neighbors. A fundamental point must be resolved. Without Saudi Arabia and the Palestinians, Israel's security becomes far more precarious. The conflict now revolves around symbols. Saudi Arabia, as the guardian of the 2 holy mosques, would close the door on any Sunni-led war against Israel through normalization, a pure gain for Israelis. If there is no Palestinian reaction, then war will not necessarily come from the Lebanese, Syrians, or others. Therefore, from Trump's perspective, as claimed by the U.S. Department of Defense, his view extends to the farthest limit. The department endorses his statements regarding what was referred to as the immediate transfer of a nuclear reactor for peaceful purposes to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is highly significant. The second issue is normalization, particularly through the amendment of the U.S.-Saudi Joint Defense Agreement. This agreement, which had been suspended until now, reached its most detailed stages during Biden's term. However, today, Trump also wants to amend some clauses. In any case, we have this direct picture: the Battle of October 7th and the response to what happened as retaliation for the assassination of 2 Hezbollah Secretary Generals. The current assessments, as of February 3rd, just a week ago, suggest that if there is a withdrawal on February 12th, then by the end of the first week following Hassan Nasrallah's speech, while the memory is still fresh, the withdrawal of the Israeli army from southern Lebanon will either materialize, or another reality may emerge on the ground. The cycle of vengeance between Israel and Hezbollah will not end. If Israel is forced to pay the price for the assassination of two Hezbollah secretary generals, it will be severe, unless Netanyahu and Trump close this chapter and reach an immediate settlement. This issue will not be trivial today. The body of Hashem Safieddin was buried in southern Lebanon, while Nasrallah remained near Beirut's airport. A site near the airport has been designated as a shrine for Hassan Nasrallah. In front of it stands the vow, "We are committed to the pledge." This means that for Hassan Nasrallah and Hezbollah, there is no promise beyond southern Lebanon except for one Jerusalem. Thus today, the road to Jerusalem has become a commitment, a vow that all members of Hezbollah and all resistance fighters may uphold directly. The issue now revolves around an ongoing battle. The blood spilled in Lebanon could lead to further consequences. Therefore, all current arrangements in southern Lebanon will be ineffective in the next battle. Continuous commitment to international law and the blue line could take a different turn in the near future. The only solution will be self-determination for the Palestinian people, and according to Trump, this development must happen immediately. Trump has been very clear. October 7th planted the seeds for its repetition, not on one front but on multiple fronts. Today, Israel is sending one clear message: it cannot be trusted in its promises and agreements. This is particularly evident in Syria, which has exited one equation only to enter another, where it continues to suffer losses. Thus, the only viable path to gain anything is through resistance, both for Lebanon and beyond. With the assassination of two Hezbollah secretary generals on the road to Jerusalem, the status of Jerusalem has now become a widely debated issue. A settlement with the Palestinians and the Saudis is fundamental to a phase Trump believes could be decisive, one that may shape the image and future of the Middle East. For Netanyahu, the issue revolves around the performance of Israeli soldiers. However, there is another remarkable performance that even the Israeli public acknowledges: the resistance of prisoners. This means that Israeli soldiers' bravery is not the only factor in play today. There is another kind of courage demonstrated by the people of Gaza and southern Lebanon. The return of displaced individuals to northern Gaza and southern Lebanon and to all border villages serves as clear proof that nations cannot be defeated. The second issue is the performance of Palestinian, Lebanese, and Yemeni resistance. Today, the Houthis have sent a strong signal: if Israel violates the ceasefire agreement in Gaza or Lebanon, then the frontline confrontation will resume immediately. If Hezbollah decides to return to war after February 8th, or if Israel fails to uphold its ceasefire commitment in Gaza, the situation will become extremely difficult. Israel faces the necessary choice of respecting the ceasefire. This raises another key question: how can Israel maintain ceasefires in Gaza and Lebanon while failing to uphold the 1974 agreement? If Israel chooses not to, it could be considered suicidal. This question is now posed to Netanyahu. Trump tells Netanyahu, "You must answer. Thank you very much and goodbye."